Yo, what is going on, guys? Jaquan here, and this week we got round two of the league that I went to last week, playing our buddy here, Dustin, who is going to be using Blurple, so Amethyst Sapphire, and against our Amethyst Ruby deck that we made last week with a bunch of Evasives and even put in a little sneaky Robin Hood in there as well. So with last match that we had against the Ruby Sapphire player, unfortunately we weren't able to get any wins from that. So hopefully in this round two here, we are able to come back and again, hopefully showcase some of the things that I built the deck for, right? So again, we have a bunch of evasives, mainly catering towards the Peter Pan Shadow Finder. That way, we're able to utilize its special ability on giving all of our evasives rush when it comes down, and this combined with Maui Half Shark is an extremely powerful combo because it ensures that like once the opponent sees that we're playing Peter Pans and Maui Half Sharks, they're probably not going to want to quest or have anything left exerted because it's very, very dangerous for them to actually do that with our Peter Pan Shadow Finder on board, right? Because again, we even have Iago, which is a 4/6, huge stat line, and can take care of a lot of threats in this meta. So he does go first, and he starts it off with the Diablo 1-drop. Pretty standard there. And again, with Blurple, you just want to have the ramp on turn 2, which is usually in the form of Tipo or Azurite Sea. So we're probably going to see that as well. All right, so I'm going to have my Chernobog followers as my 1-drop. Makes up for the last game I played against the Ruby Sapphire because I didn't draw any 1-drops at all. Couldn't even mulligan for and see any of them as well. And we do play 8 1-drops in the form of 4 Diablos and 4 Chernobyls. So as you can see here, he does go with his standard route and having that Azurite Sea, being able to ramp an additional time this turn and being able to curve out on another 1-drop. Okay, so I believe in this particular case here, keep in mind that the Blurple player did go first. So again, he didn't draw on his first turn, meaning that we do have one more card over him going second, right? So this is why I do choose to challenge into his Diablo with my Chernobog, because if he does want to trade with his Chernobog into my Chernobog, I'm totally okay with that. We also do have to be aware that because he does have 3 ink, he could potentially play Fox down as well, which isn't going to be ideal, but at least we do have the Pegasus there to also take out that Fox and slowly again just clear out the board and simplify the game state. Because I built the deck here for Ruby Amethyst is to play into a lot of the opponent's board and to do a lot of controlling right on the board itself, and being able to also play a lot of cards that recur advantage back, such as Diablo and Cusco, right? So what I'm trying to do here is just delay and play into the board as much as possible early game. That way, mid to late game, we can start dropping the B preps, having the Maui Half Shark with the Peter Pans, and even playing libraries as well, because we would have challenged a lot into his board, hopefully clearing it out and again simplifying that game state, so that way he has nothing to be able to challenge into my libraries. So unfortunately, he did have the Madame Mim Fox, which does bounce his Chernobog into his hand, and then just challenges into the into my Chernobog, right? So it takes it out, but again, we prepared for this. We had the Pegasus on there that trades with the Fox, which again I'm 100% okay with because now it clears it off for us to play the library, right? Because that Madame Mim Fox had 4 strength, which is huge against the library, but because he already did play the Fox, chances that he has another one is very slim. And keep in mind, he also needs to have another character to be able to bounce that back to his hand. Even if he challenges into the library is still going to stick around for that 1 turn. Okay, so I do play the Iago. Iago again is a new characteristic of having an illusion type. So anytime it gets targeted by an opponent's action, both of them get banished. But of course, its 4/6 stat does keep Genie away from questing, potentially, or even again like having him sing with friends on the other side, right? Okay, so unfortunately, he did have the Let It Go, but I'm okay with this because it, one, ramps us, and then also two, makes it so that he actually just wastes his whole entire turn, right? Sure, he quests two with Genie, but again, our library is going to stick around for another turn, and that's what we really want to do because our deck is very good in clearing out the boards, especially because we do have B prep in our deck, and the Blurple does not run any sort of like board wipes at all, right? So luckily for us, we did also have the Brawl that does take out the Genie. In my deck list here, I believe I'm only playing 3 Brawls. I don't think Brawl is too essential just because of the Hiram ban, right? Yes, Brawl is still going to be there for the Genie and those Diablo decks, and maybe potentially some aggro decks as well, but isn't usually too utilized later in the game because a lot of things in mid to late game does have stronger stats, right? 3 or more strength for Brawl not to be effective. Okay, so he does drop the Fox again, bouncing the Crab back into hand, giving Fox +3 strength, so it's at 7, but not having enough to actually take out my library. So as you can see here, my library was able to gain us 3 lore, being able to keep up with that lore gain against his 4 lore, right? All again while having still cards in our hand, because what he's doing right now is being very reactive to my board, right? He's doing everything that he can to get rid of the library. He did everything that he could to get rid of my Iago, right? So again, he's trying to control my board, but that's totally fine because again, he's not building up his board, right? Blurple needs to have that board presence to be able to really take control of the game and just run away with questing with everything. Especially early on, it's very important for the Blurple player to just keep ramping and start throwing threats on the board before we can have Be Prepared come down. So in this case, again, he doesn't have too much board presence, so I do choose to use Finders Keepers. I play 3 copies in the deck, and again, like with this particular deck that I've made, I did cut all the bounce cards, so no foxes, no snakes, no rabbits, just the crabs. And the reason for that is because right now I feel like losing that tempo from that bounce can be very destructive to our own board, right? We do want to build up our board presence and have things stick around. Because again, like our strategy is not to keep bouncing our cards back to you know, abuse goats and abuse the rabbits, but we want to have our board presence of evasives to be able to challenge into his characters. And that's why I also run 3 libraries in the deck as well, because he's going to have characters that he's going to want to challenge into our location. And if we have Peter Pan Shadowfinder on board already, all our evasives are going to gain rush. So as you can see here, I'm setting it up right now. Peter Pan has rush itself. It's a 2/3 and gives everything rush for evasives, right? So I played the Iago on curve, being able to take out his Fox and still actually living that challenge, right? So I have two damage or 2 health left, 2 willpower left, whatever you want to call it. So it is going to survive. Meaning that Iago is going to be able to trade 1 for 1 with that bell if he does choose to quest or sing with it. And let's just say even if he does throw down like an Elsa 5-drop and exerts my Peter Pan Shadowfinder, it doesn't actually have enough strength to take it out. Therefore, my Peter Pan Shadowfinder could potentially combo off with a Maui Half Shark next turn. Okay, so he does play Hades, which is probably going to be, I would say, like in this case here, probably not the best play. I would personally have gone rid of the Peter Pan Shadowfinder, but I can see how Iago's also a valid target as well, just because again he didn't want anything to be able to trade with his bell. But the only dangerous thing now is, keep in mind, Peter Pan Shadowfinder is going to be able to have all my evasives gain rush. Luckily for us as well, we do have the Dragonfire, being able to take out that Hades right away, so that way he can't start questing for 2, because that Hades being a 3/6 is pretty strong. And we don't have too much that can take it out unless we throw 2 characters at it. But luckily for us, we had that 1 copy of Dragonfire, which we can also get back with Maui Half Shark, keep in mind. Okay, so he plays the Sail the Azurite Sea to draw a card. And at this point, I believe he has 3 cards in his hand, so it may not be the best decision to ink that additional time. Plays the bell. Doesn't have anything to move around damage, but I think at this point he just wants to have that board presence and also to keep up the lore pressure as well. Because now he has 2 bells on board, right? Okay, so I play my own Elsa, and this is a pretty cool combo because I do play the Moana. So the Moana here 4-drop does have Evasive, and it's a new card here from Arcasia's Island. Essentially, when it challenges a character, you can give another character 3 strength, or 2 strength, I believe. Right? So that Moana alone made it so I was able to clear out both of his bell. So that was an insane tempo play right there. And again, that's how dangerous the Peter Pan Shadowfinder can be, right? The longer that you leave on board. And again, that's a strategy that we want to have, is being able to just keep the opponent on his toes to be able to always exert his characters for us to challenge into, right? And once he slowly starts to use up all his resources, that's when we can start dropping more locations, and we can start dropping, you know, our genies and other cards as well, right? Okay, so we play the 1-drop Chernabog, and we play another Peter Pan Shadowfinder, being able to have enough strength to be able to take out the Elsa. The reason why I don't challenge the Elsa with the genie is because I do value that 2 lore quest right now, so that way I can actually keep up, right? Because that puts us at 9, 2 is 8. And there's not going to be too much that he can do to take out both Peter Pan Shadowfinders right now. If he has another Elsa, he could probably challenge into one of them, but that's really it, right? So as you can see here, we're just both going at it against everything that we have, and playing both into our boards, right? Luckily for us, that because we have so many evasives in our deck, we're able to do that better, alongside with a lot of the evasives that we do have. Has a lot of willpower, right? Therefore that they're going to live quite long and usually be able to challenge into 2 things. So he does play the Elsa Shift, which is such an iconic first chapter card, and my personal favorite still as well. And in Blurple, they can either play 1 copy or none. And so I threw both of my Peter Pan Shadowfinder to take out that Elsa, because again, he only has that 1 card on the board, and I'm starting to build up a pretty wide board here, so I don't mind trading in, right? And again, all my evasive characters earlier already have done what they wanted to do, which is rush in, using that Peter Pan Shadowfinder effect. And he has no more cards that are exerted anyways, so therefore I don't really need that. Okay, so he is able to now challenge into one of my characters with the Fox. I don't really care too much again, because if you see here, I believe he only has 1 card left in his hand. Whereas again, we have more cards on our side of the field. The Diablo is going to be able to get back a card once it's banished. So again, like, we're feeling pretty good here. Last card that we dropped is the Robin Hood Sharpshooter. Again, my ace and my signature card that I love to play in any Ruby deck that has a lot of actions. And again, in this particular deck, I've only put in 1 Robin Hood Sharpshooter just for scenarios like this, right? So it doesn't seem like much because you could potentially whiff with the Robin Hood Sharpshooter, but what it potentially threatens is that I could just close out the game right there, right then. It quests for 2. I do play Pirate's Life, which will also be able to gain 2 more lore, but also if, let's say, I get Finders Keepers or Friends on the other side, that's gonna solidify the game for me and be able to just close it out much faster because I'm gonna have more options, right, than the Blurple player. Because you can see Blurple player right now is in top deck mode. I also don't play any goats in my deck as well, just because I don't have any bounce cards to really abuse that goat bounce goat. And so far I'm loving it, right? Like, you don't always have to put the bounce package in everything. It is good in some parts of the meta, right, depending on how it shapes up. But I also feel like, having a lot of cards or having a lot of decks right now that utilize Evasives, I also want to make room for Evasives in my deck, which is why I changed the strategy of the Ruby Amethyst deck that I built. And that's totally okay because the bounce package is great and all, but it does take up a lot of space when deck building. So it allows for more creativity, I find. And again, we're playing that Finders Keepers, which is a draw 3, which could also potentially be used with Robin Hood, right? Another thing that I didn't really like as well is that the rabbit, it was uninkable, so it did force you to use it. Like, there's not really much that we can do to get out of our hand. Which is also another reason why I only played the one Robin Hood Sharpshooter, just because it wasn't a card that I wanted to see multiples in, but still a card that, once the opponent sees once, they have to respect it, right? So Robin Hood is definitely a really high rolly card, but again, we're not building around Robin Hood. We're just mainly there to build around the evasive rush factor of the deck. And even if, let's just say, we have a Robin Hood on board that quested and is exerted, the opponent isn't usually going to let that Robin Hood live for more than a turn because the threat that it poses is just huge. And again, we want to have the opponent be reactive to our things, right? Like our locations and challenging to our characters. So that way we can utilize our evasives and rush, right? Like Maui Half Shark to be able to take his characters out. So for us, we did win game 1, and because we were on the draw, we are now on the play in game 2. Yeah, let me know in the comments down below, what types of decks that you guys are thinking of playing for the upcoming set champs in May. Because right now the meta is super diverse. There has been mini tops, week after week, and you see so many different types of decks, right? Topping, there's like Amber Steel that's back on top. You still see Ruby Sapphire, it's incredibly strong still, and you're seeing the surge of Blurple again, right? And Ruby Amethyst is back on top as well. And then you see the other evasive decks like the Emerald Amethyst that we showcased on this channel, and then even the Emerald Steel came back as well in full force. And I believe recently Zan got first place with the Jafar wheel deck, so the Amethyst Steel deck, which is insane too. All right, so we started off here with a Diablo 1-drop. So in this particular matchup, because it could come down to an attrition war, during my opening hand, if I do have friends on the other side, I will most likely keep that. But I am also, keep in mind, looking for things that can create board presence, but also recur itself as well, in the form of Diablo and Cusco. Okay, so I ink the friends, and I play another Diablo. Now I do choose to quest with my Diablo because if, let's just say, he does challenge into it with Chernobog's followers, there is a very high potential that I could follow up with a Crab and be able to trade my other Diablo into his Chernobog. Okay, so he plays the Azurite Sea. That's what we want to see here in Blurple again. He inks a card, he inks an Elsa, and then he plays a Popsicle. So that's also a really good card on curve. And the Blurple deck still plays 4 Popsicles and I think 3 to 4 Bell 3-drops. And at times they could also play 1 or 2 Tamatoa Happy as a Clam as well to get back those popsicles. All right, so as you can see here, we do play the Hypnotic Strength, which we do have 1 copy of as our tech. And what that does is that it gives a character +2 strength, and it also allows us to draw a card as well. So it is a little bit like a crab that we can play 1 turn earlier to combo with our Diablo. So again, this is exactly what we do because he challenged, or he had the turn of bulks that just quested, leaving our Diablos to be able to freely trade into that. So Hypnotic Strength is also there as well, because again, it's an action, 2 costs, it's very cheap, and can be combined with the Maui Half Shark. Okay, so he inks a bell and plays a crab, gives my Diablo Challenger 3. Doesn't really matter since it fizzles at the end of the turn. Okay, so I ink a brawl and play my Genie, being able to put up some more pressure there, drawing us a card, and then I quest out with the Diablo. Okay, so he sings Friends. We could potentially see an Elsa 5-drop or Fox coming down. I believe he inks a Popsicle. Okay, yeah, so we see the Elsa coming down and he does challenge into it. Doesn't actually take out the Genie just because of the Elsa only has 2 strength. But he is probably going to follow up with a Bell Shift or just simply take it out with Elsa next turn as well. And then still having Elsa live just due to its 5 willpower. So in this case here, we do choose to sing Friends on the other side with Genie. We're still pretty similar in our lore count, so I don't care too much about questing. At this point, I just want to be able to build up my hand so I have more options, more cards to ink as well. And yeah, potentially finding the crab too, because in this case here, the crab plus Diablo being able to trade into his crab is such a good tempo as well. Okay, and we do play the Pegasus 3-drop, which would allow us to take out that Elsa if he doesn't do anything with it. Yeah, because like let's just say if he takes out the Genie with his Elsa, we can just throw the Pegasus into it. That way it gets rid of one of his evasive threats, right? And Blurple only has so many evasive threats unless they play Iago and Peter Pan Shadowfinder as well, which I don't believe this particular deck he has. Okay, so there's another big tempo swing that happens here. He does play the Bell Shift, switching out the damage counters from his Elsa, healing it, and then being able to take out my guys as well. Okay, sweet. So we do have 5 ink. Therefore, we're then able to play Peter Pan and Pegasus, giving the Pegasus evasive and rush, or giving it rush because it has evasive, having exactly enough strength to be able to take out that Elsa, and then having our Peter Pan Shadowfinder being able to just sit there being safe, and hopefully he doesn't have another Elsa 5-drop, because now we can again set up that Maui Half Shark going into next turn. Okay, so he sings friends on the other side. Because really not too much he can do here, right? A lot of times, like, you just want to have answers. And I only have 3 lore anyways. Plays the Popsicle and then ditches the Popsicle to play the Bell for free. And plays Diablo. Okay, so bounces back the Bell for the Madam and Fox. So this could potentially be dangerous later in the game, just because, again, we do have damage on that Peter Pan. And if he does have anything else that has damage, he could move that damage over to banish the Peter Pan. Or he can even move the Peter Pan's damage to another card. Luckily for us, all of his characters only quest for 1, so I do decide to just play Finders Keepers. Because again, we're very, very close into B prep range, right? Like, we're going to be 6 ink on this turn. And we're not too worried about him getting a big lore swing anytime soon. Because if he quests out next turn, he's only going to be at 3. And therefore, we can set up Be Prepared. Right? And that Finders Keepers just snowballed us to getting a Friends on the other side. Which I believe I did see a B prep being drawn by Finders Keepers or Friends. So this is perfect, right? We're drawing so many cards, not caring too much about what he does, because he cannot do anything to our B prep, right? He has no Emerald cards like Ursula to rip that out of our hand. As you can see, like, our hand, we have like 6 or 7 cards, so we have a pretty healthy hand right now. And I believe he also has 4 or 5 cards himself. And if he does choose to play any character, we're going to be able to threaten his board and just wipe it out with B prep. So in this case here, like, as a Blurple player, what I want to see is Friends or Finders Keepers as well. And at that point, I would just hard cast it and not commit more into the board with other characters. Unless, of course, those characters can replace themselves, like Cusco, Diablo, or Rabbit. Okay, so he chooses to quest out with everything, bringing him to 3. And then bouncing the Fox for Fox, keeping it alive so I can't challenge into the Fox with my Crab. But again, like, also the bounce is good in case you are expecting a B prep, because then at least that doesn't commit any further characters into the board, and then bouncing back crucial characters into your hand. But there's not any other good target, so, you know, bouncing a Fox back to with another Fox is not the worst. The only downside to that, though, is it does give me more information about what's in his hand, right? Okay, so I do play the Maui Half Shark just in time as well, just because, again, like, we have that Peter Pan just chilling there, and he has 2 characters that we can challenge into. And this is where it snowballs as well, right? So we challenge into Maui Half Shark, and we're able to now get any action from our discard into our hand. And the best action to pick right now is, of course, the Friends on the other side. Because now what we can do is that we can sing Friends on the other side with the Peter Pan Shadow Finder, drawing us 2 cards, and then gaining a lore from the Maui Half Shark. So that was an insane turn right there. And then challenging into his Diablo, taking it out with our Crab. So we didn't even need to use B prep, but we still have it in our hand, right? In case that things do get out of control. And I personally don't mind not using B prep, right? Because the later game that we are, hopefully we've inked enough to the point where we have 11 ink or 10 ink, so that way we can actually play B prep and then follow up with a library. And that could also be very devastating and game ending as well if the opponent is very low on their resources. Okay, so he plays the bell, which is a really good play here because, again, my Peter Pan has 2 damage and the shark has 3 damage. Therefore, he can move the 2 damage and wipe out that Maui half shark. On the bright side, though, it did heal our Peter Pan Shadowfinder. Therefore, it can stick around to be able to play more threats with Evasives, giving them rush. Okay, so he bounces the bell with the snake, keeping it for later. Now, when I play Blurple, because Blurple doesn't have too much board removal, right? They have single target removal in the form of Hades, Let It Go, and then Elsa's as well. That's the reason why I think that Blurple could do better without the bounce package. And that's also another reason why a lot of Amethyst decks are cutting the snake. Just because in this case here, you're losing so much tempo, right? You just want to be able to build that board up. And I did play the Iago as well, which is going to give us a really big body on board to be able to start trading into his other characters. And a lot of times that Iago is going to take out 2 characters, giving us a +1. And +1 in card advantage is what I mean. Okay, so plays the Hades, inks the genie for us. And I guess in this case here, the Blurple player does value the genie as the threat, just due to the fact that it can quest for 2. And again, like we've been duking it out left and right here, playing into each other's board. And in this case, he does really just want to take control back and be able to quest harder with his Hades. But I'm not going to let that happen because I'm going to play the B prep. And guess what? Thanks to his Hades, we now have exactly enough ink to be able to follow up with the library. So this is exactly what I was talking about earlier, is where I don't mind saving the B preps and holding onto the locations, because in this case here, he doesn't have too much cards in his hand left. We do have quite a bit. We're able to wipe his whole board and then just solidify the game state with our location, because that location is probably going to stick around for at least a turn or 2, right? And again, his characters are going to challenge into into our location, and therefore his characters are going to be exerted. So as you can see here, because he did exactly just that with his Madam Mim Fox, we're now able to follow up with a Peter Pan Shadowfinder and then dropping the Maui Half Shark, which is going to gain Rush from the Peter Pan, and allowing us to take back any action from our discard into our hand, which we do take the friends on the other side. So now this is where things slowly start to go in our favor, and it's going to be a very big shift for us to be in a winning position, right? Because now we have so many threats on board. Peter Pan is still a threat. The library is still a threat, right? The longer that it stays on, the more lore that we're going to gain. But because we also are a deck that likes to challenge into the opponent's board, we can put our characters into the library, allowing us to get 1 draw for each time our character is banished while it's on the library, right? And of course, Maui Half Shark is a threat, not allowing you most of the time to quest in or even sing with anything, right? Okay, so he plays I believe that's the bell, and he bounces it again for the fox, saving that for a different turn in the future, and then taking out the library, which we're okay with because of our Maui Half Shark, right? So this is perfect. We're in a very good position here. Our deck's doing what it wants to do. We gain 1 lore from the Maui Half Shark because we're using an action in the form of friends on the other side, drawing us 2 cards. And we play another library. And there we go. So we put the shark into the library, trade with the fox, giving us another card from the library, and then also getting another card in the form of friends on the other side from Maui Half Shark. So this is an insane turn that we just had. And we still have plenty of cards in hand. And then I dropped the Robin Hood Sharpshooter, which is my ace card. And again, this Robin Hood here is really funny because it still acts as a threat, right? The longer that it's on board, it could do some pretty crazy shenanigans. And then I quest with the Diablo here, bringing us to 10. So now, since we're able to just control the board and simplify the game state for us, everything that we're dropping is going to be threats now, right? And the Blurple player is going to be on the defensive. He has to be very reactive to everything that we're doing because we're halfway in winning the game. And a lot of times, again, with the Blurple player, if the other opponent goes wide, they're going to have a hard time breaking that board. So he does play the Elsa Shift, which is going to freeze the Robin Hood Sharpshooter and the Diablo not being able to ready on my turn, which we're totally okay with, because at this point we're just going to use friends or the Finders Keepers to draw cards, and then that allows us to draw into the Dragonfire, which we use to take out the Elsa Shift. And then I put the Robin Hood into the library just in case he does have another Fox, because Fox will trade in with the Robin Hood Sharpshooter very cleanly. But as you can see here, we have like 6-7 cards in our hand, so we're still feeling pretty good here. So he plays his own genie, drawing him a card, which we love to see, because if we see a genie on that gets played, that's already 4 ink, right? So it's not the cheapest card, and it's not going to out the library or the Robin Hood. So again, we love to see it. So he inks the Great Stone and finishes off with the Chernabog. So he has 2 genies and 1 Chernabog. And this is where it gets super crazy. So he didn't know that I play like one of the high-end cards called like Sisu, the Big Shift. And this is where it gets super devastating for him, because I quest with Robin Hood fizzles, whatever, I still gain 2 lore. But this is where I just do a one-sided board wipe. And boom, right there. Big Sisu. I get rid of both genies and Chernabogs just like that. I do play 2 copies of the Sisu Shift, just for other evasive threats, Diablo, genies, Elsas, but also to help deal with the Amber Steel and aggro matchups, which is pretty hard for us. Yeah, so at this point, there's really not too much the Blurple player can do to come back, because we do have such a huge lore lead, right? We waited for the perfect time to be able to just apply pressure slowly and then drop the libraries and then drop our Robin Hood and then drop our big Sisu Shift, right? And again, all this is possible because we play so much card draw, and then we also play the Maui Half Shark, which gave us 2 friends on the other side in total, right? And that was 4 cards right there. And I think we resolved like 2 or 3 Finders Keepers as well. So as you can see here, like my hand size is pretty healthy. There's no need for the rabbit bounce rabbit because like again, like we just value other things. We're a totally different strategy in this Amethyst Ruby deck that I've made. So he plays friends, tries to look for an out, but again, really not too much that he can do here because he needs to take out the library, the Robin Hood, and the Sisu Big Shift, which he's not going to be able to do here. All right, so it looks like he scoops it up. And there we have it, a 2-0 against Blurple using our Ruby Amethyst Evasive deck. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode, and stay tuned for next time. Again, the deck list will be below down in the bio in the form of the Dreamborn. Hopefully you guys enjoy the deck and many more videos to come. All right, see you guys on the next one. Peace.